Fraser Macklemore straightened his tie and brushed his hands down the front of his suit before pushing open the door of the business director's office at Philly Group.
"How many times have I told you?" snapped a voice from within. "Knock on the door before you come in. How hard is that to remember?"
"My wife, can you stop reminding me of the rules?" he asked, smiling bitterly. He had anticipated the scolding, but it had still hurt. Natalia Laplace, the business director of the real estate group, glared at her husband.
"You know, because I'm your wife, I've tried to cut you some slack. You've been working here for 3 months, and I've tried to get your name out there. Tell me, how many properties have you sold?"
Fraser shuffled his feet uncomfortably and said nothing.
"You haven't brought in even a single customer," she went on. "What have you been doing? Just sitting around like you do at home? With the current housing market situation, even a fool would be better than you."
Hearing the volume of his wife's scolding, Fraser immediately closed the door behind him. At the very least, he couldn't let others hear the embarrassing firing he was a victim of.
"Why do you bother shutting the door?" she asked mockingly. "Even if you shut the door, it's not like everyone doesn't know how much of a joke you are."
She shook her head in disgust.
"I was really blind when I married you."
Natalia's heart ached as she said these words. She felt wronged. The two of them had been college sweethearts. Natalia had been at the top of her class and could have had her choice of suitors. However, in the end, she had chosen Fraser. Fraser sat with big dreams for his career. After graduation, he even started his own business. Unfortunately, it had failed. He hadn't recovered from the failure. Instead, he stayed home and cared for the household. He would cook and clean while Natalia worked. He had done that for 3 years, until Natalia's family couldn't watch him being unable to bring in a more considerable income. They had given Fraser an ultimatum. He needed to find a job with a salary of at least $10,000 a month. San Clemente, California was a beautiful town, but there weren't many jobs that could pay that much. Thus, Natalia had no choice but to swallow her pride and offer him a job in the sales department at a real estate company, where she was the business director, the Philly Group. Now, as Fraser stood in Natalia's office, she had come to regret that decision. Fraser didn't reply for a long time. He glanced uncomfortably at her. His heart softened, but he still felt helpless.
"Natalia," he begged, "it's not that I don't want to work hard. It's that the sales manager always steals my customers."
The sales manager hates me, he thought. The whole department hates me. That's why, from day one, I haven't been able to keep a customer.
"Fraser, how many times have I told you? You need to learn how to be objective. Take some initiative and responsibility."
Natalia spoke with a firm voice. He sighed. Very well. I'll try harder, I promise." She glared at him and then passed him a piece of paper with 2 phone numbers on it.
"I don't believe that," she said coldly. "I'd rather believe that pigs can fly. Look, I'll try to help you out again. I've already talked with these 2 clients."
She used her chin to indicate the numbers on the paper.
"You just need to contact them,"
she said with an evident look of hopelessness. Fraser felt a burst of embarrassment, but he was also touched. His wife always had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. After taking the piece of paper, he dejectedly left her office. As soon as he stepped out of the door, he heard laughter erupting from the previously quiet sales department. A salesperson, Tarson Linster, quickly grabbed a cloth and began wiping down a desk before running over and passing the cloth to Fraser.
"Macklemore, come on! Hurry up and get back to work! You're so good at housework." Please tidy up the office.
Tarson laughed mockingly at Fraser before saying,
I don't understand you. Director Laplace makes plenty of money. She can support you just fine. Why don't you run on home and get back to your classic housework and cooking? Why are you trying to steal work from the rest of us? You're worthless here. Scram, Tarson.
Joe Parker, one of the higher-up salespeople, pushed the salesperson away. Fraser didn't trust Joe any more than he trusted Tarson. Joe always acted as the manager's spy. He had directly taken customers from Fraser on countless occasions.
Ouch!
Tarson complained, continuing to say,
Come on, Joe. Why don't you push him out instead? All you have to do is hit him, and he'll leave.
Tarson had a cruel look on his face, and even took a step closer. Fraser was used to their provocation, but it didn't mean he liked it. He glared at the two men and then turned around and headed to his desk.
Bah!
Joe spat out as Fraser walked away.
That trash is really giving our department a bad name.
When the mocking voices faded and everyone started to get back to work, Fraser unfolded the note Natalia had given him. However, just as he was about to call the first number on the list, a large, middle-aged man walked over to stand beside his desk. Fraser peered up into the irritated face of his manager, Peter Earle. Peter glared condescendingly at Fraser before asking,
Macklemore, who gave you permission to use your personal cell phone on company time?
I'm calling a client, Fraser said shortly.
Oh, really?
Peter sneered.
Do you really think that you'll succeed in making a sale? Why are you so stubborn?
Peter waved his arm toward the other salespeople.
Look at them. They can sell a property every few days. Then we have you. You're worthless. If it wasn't for the fact that your wife is the boss, I would have fired you long ago. Do you really think you can earn the same salary as those guys for doing nothing?
After his rant, Peter glanced at the two phone numbers on the piece of paper and grinned evilly.
Macklemore, this is your last chance, he said,
issuing an ultimatum.
If you can sell 100 properties by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you can stay. I'll even give you a promotion. If you don't, you can pack your stuff and leave.
Peter closed his warning with an evil grin.